All right. We are going live. Hello, everyone. This is Pam Green, and I am so incredibly excited as I wrap up this year of live recordings and live interviews with leaders like the one that I have here, Mr. Rob Harold. And he is, there he is. He is the owner, the franchisee of Chick-fil-A here in my area. I am so excited because he has probably the fastest growing and one of the highest grossing Chick-fil-A's in the country. And he gets visits from lots of people at the top of the food chain there. I just had one from one of the vice presidents because they want to see how he does it. How, in our little area of Bowie, Maryland, he's able to really he's killing it out here. And so I'm really, really excited. I was just so honored to have him join us today. So let me introduce Rob and say, Rob, welcome to Live with Pam Green.
Thank you, Pam. I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure I noted this. The first thing is, I don't know
how. A little bit low, so I'm going to have you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Still a little low.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can. Can you switch over? I'm going to switch over here. Hold on.
Okay, you want to switch over? Okay. No, you're on mute. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Now you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
It still has that same volume level, which is really weird.
We just let me try something else here. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Pam.
No, you're fine.
Pam, is that any better?
Yeah, that's a little better, but we can go with it.
All right, let's work with that.
Okay.
I appreciate your time today and letting me join you. I'll add that you mentioned, they come and see how we do it. I don't do anything. It's my restaurant team that does all the stuff. And our niche is we're actually one of the top grossing delivery restaurants in the country. So that's what we're kind of known for.
Wow. Well, yes, you are. And I hear about you all the time. And it's interesting, my business manager, when she found out that you were going to be on, she's like, Rob's going to be on. Oh my goodness. So you certainly have amassed a reputation here. I'm really just curious. So we're in the middle of a pandemic. We've had political and civil unrest. I mean, we're talking about shutting down again all across the country. I think we have had way more it's just been way more challenging for business leaders like yourself to stay open. Some of my favorite restaurants just shut down. They just couldn't do it. So I'm curious, what's the secret in your sauce? That's what we're going to unpack today. How do you maintain the Chick-fil-A culture at the local level, continue to grow your business in the middle of a friggin' pandemic? What are you doing that maybe other leaders like myself and those who are watching could learn from?
What a year! No, I can echo that and tell you that this year's just been something else for us as a business.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that the word that comes to mind is really it's care. We care for our people. We care for each other. We care for our guests. We really care about what we do. And I think that is our secret to what we're doing at my restaurant.
Fantastic. Well, and I think what's important is that we, when you're thinking about caring, talk to me about how you are able to sort of like from a team perspective, like talk to me on a daily basis. What are you, what, you know, when you get your team together, what are you doing that helps motivate them and all this? Because we're coming in after, you know, we're still dealing with results of voting. We've got family dynamics. We're going into the holidays. People are getting sick all over the place. Talk to me how you show that to your team.
So, what we have something at my restaurant that we developed a couple years ago. We have a value system that we created. We call it Chugos. We invented a word,
Okay,
and Chugos
spell it for me.
it's Chugos,
Okay.
and so it's really just six things that are really important to us. And when you have Chugos, you're a part of our team. You're not a part of our team if you don't have it. So let me explain kind of what those six things are. The C is consistency. The H is humility. The U is understanding. G is a growth mindset. O is ownership, and S is self-awareness. And I can talk a little bit about each one of those because we have some depth to each of those. So the C, consistency, that means follow through. You do what you say you're going to do. Your word is your bond. And that's really, really kind of the beginning of what Chugos is. The H is humility. That means we're here to serve. We're here to help each other, care about each other. Understanding is it. The phrase I like for that is we're better together. We understand that we're different. We understand that we might have different value systems outside of work, but we know that at work we work together, and when we work together, we're better. The G, a growth mindset, means we pursue what's next. We know we're always trying to climb the mountaintop, but we're never really going to reach the top of it because as soon as we get where we think we're going, we're always trying to figure out where else we're trying to climb.
Yeah.
The ownership piece is this is our restaurant. Even though my face might be on the wall or my name might be in the email address, every person that works at Chick-fil-A Bowie Marketplace is part owner in what we do. And the last part, self-awareness, it means that you're purpose-driven. It means you know why you exist. It means you know what your purpose is, not just at Chick-fil-A. It's important to know why you're there, but it's also important to know why you're here on Earth. And we want to encourage people that work with us to know that and to really drive what they do by their own purpose. So
Yeah. So
I
it
think that
sounds like you're talking about their own personal values and making sure that they're aligned with your corporate values as well as the local values.
that's right. So I would say that the Chugos is kind of what helps us care because every person is aligned in the set of values that we have at my restaurant.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so then is that something that you introduce in the orientation, the onboarding, the pre-hire work? Like how do you make this thing embedded in the culture?
Chugos goes all the way from uh, recruiting decisions. Like when we interview someone, when we're looking through resumes, when we're looking through applications, a question comes up like, does this person seem to have Chugos? When we're talking to them, asking them questions, we have questions that are aligned with each of those values to help kind of figure out if the things that are important to them are the things that are important to us.
Yeah.
We share the Chugos with them at the beginning before they ever are hired and said, hey, you know, what do you think about these? How do these align with who you are? So it starts at the beginning and then it goes throughout their time with us. You know, as they work with us, we review, we reward based on Chugos, we give feedback. Every day I'm sending a message to someone saying, hey, listen, you did this in the restaurant, and that shows ownership. And ownership is the O in Chugos. And so we provide feedback that's kind of shared based on what our Chugos are. So
Gotcha. Did you come up with Chugos on your
I did.
own? You did?
Well, I did. I had a leadership team meeting at the beginning before we opened our restaurant, and we listed the values, and it spelled it out. And I thought we can make a word with this, so we did.
Well, you not only made a word with it, but now you've embedded it as part of the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. I mean, I'm sure not everyone, you know, you get those questions from people who come in, you know, are we going to have church service every morning with Chick-fil-A? We've heard about things and, you know, they come in with their own mindset, their own perspective. You know, how do you answer that? What do you say to people who've sort of heard about you, or heard about the culture? How do you deal with that? How do you address that?
So when you say, how do we deal with the culture? Kind of talk to me a little bit about what you mean when you say, like when folks come in and they don't necessarily share the same values as us, or what do
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah, I think from a religious perspective, I
Okay.
think that there is a mindset of people out there that believe that there's going to be some sort of church services or something at Chick-fil-A when you
You
come in
know,
the morning or something,
you,
or
you know,
you
I
have to buy
haven't.
into what the founder's faith is in order to become a successful employee there. Well, what do you say to that?
So it's funny. Anytime I explain that I work with Chick-fil-A or been with Chick-fil-A, one of the first questions I'm asked is, "Oh, are you Mormon or are you Southern Baptist or any of
Right.
that?" So I'll tell you that there isn't a religious aspect to what we do at Chick-fil-A. I think that the founder Truett, who passed away several years ago,
Yeah.
when he founded Chick-fil-A, he founded it on some biblical principles that are timeless principles. And our purpose at the restaurant, our corporate purpose, is to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that's entrusted to us, and to have a positive impact on all that come into contact with Chick-fil-A. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's part of the heartbeat of who we are as Chick-fil-A. But I can tell you, there's no requirement or prerequisite that someone has to align themselves religiously or any way with what we do at Chick-fil-A, because ultimately we want to care for everybody, and it doesn't matter what you believe or who you care about. It's we want to care about you, and so I think that's really the heart of what it is. So does
Yeah.
that answer your question?
No, it does. It does. And it made me think of another question because, there's this, it used to be organizations would try to mimic, the big brands and, try to, hold themselves out to be, mimicking some of those brands. But what I'm finding is that everyone is sort of mimicking or trying to mimic, this sort of, Chick-fil-A way of doing things, the hospitality. And I'm just curious, do you see that? Do you notice it when you go to different places and they're kind of seeing a little bit of the, how may I help you kind of way of doing things? Do you find that people are picking up and adopting that? What do you think?
I think I've seen it in different places. I think imitation is one of the greatest forms of flattery.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that Chick-fil-A stole my pleasure from somewhere else. If you'd like to hear the story, so
Yeah.
Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, years and years ago, he enjoyed to travel, and every now and then he'd stay at a Ritz-Carlton hotel. And one day when he walked in, they were talking to him, and he said, "Thank you," and they said, "My pleasure." And he just thought that was the greatest thing in the world. So he decided that from that day forward, everybody at Chick-fil-A was going to say "my pleasure," and that was, I think, back in 2002 or 2003.
Yeah.
And that year went by, and when everyone heard that that's what he said, everyone kind of looked at each other and thought, "Okay, that's weird." And then another year went by, and he still said it at the corporate meeting, and everyone kind of looked at each other and said, "Okay, I guess this is still important to him." And the next year went by, and he said it again. And finally, 3 or 4 years after he made that statement, it started to get adopted across the country. You hear the saying that it takes 7 or 8 times of saying something for people to actually hear it.
Yeah.
And that was even true for someone like Truett at Chick-fil-A. He wanted it happening on day one when he said, "I want everyone to say my pleasure." But it takes time for things to really settle in. It takes time for people to adopt those types of values and things. So,
Yeah.
but I don't think that there can be enough care in the world. I think I'm saying that right.
Mhm.
That there's never too much. You can
Mhm.
never care too much, and I think it would be great if companies around the world and governments and organizations and everyone would care more. Like I think that that's really what Chick-fil-A wants to be known as, is the
I
most caring
know.
brand. That's what we want to be known as, and I think if we can spread that around, the better. The better we will be as a society. The better people will be.
Yeah, I would agree. I think And as we're talking, if you're watching and you have questions for Rob, please go ahead and type those in. We'd love to be able to answer those. But I think that you're absolutely right. And one of the things that I notice is it's different when it's manufactured than when it's, part of the heartbeat. And it's so refreshing to know that it took, Truett, Kathy, a number of years before that really took. I think some people, some leaders, they come from trainings or they come from an experience and they think, boom, we're supposed to flip the script and now everyone's supposed to buy into this. And it just doesn't happen that way. You almost want people to want to embrace, this new way of doing things and new way of being. So that being said, how do you feel you are able to distinguish yourself even from other Chick-fil-A stores? How are you able to do that? Give us a little more secret to your sauce.
I think culture is the thing that we get right at my restaurant. I think that culture, Zig Ziglar, if you've ever heard of him, one of the things he used to always say is culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, this Chugos, this concept that we've talked about and who we are, our values, that pervades our organization, and it's who we are. And we have a very distinct culture that we're trying to create at my restaurant.
Yeah.
And the team's really bought into that. So let me talk a little bit about kind of how we have things set up. So the culture, we've thought through kind of where do we want to be headed. And we have a vision statement that we share as an organization. We want to be the most loving. That's my restaurant. We want to be known in our community as a loving place where people feel like when they walk away, like, I feel like Chick-fil-A loves me. Like, how do we get it to where every person that walks away, whether they're a customer, whether they're a vendor, whether they're a team member, and they believe that based on their interactions that they've had over time with us, they feel loved and cared for.
Mm-hmm.
And we believe that happens when three different parts intersect. We want people to feel engaged, equipped, and empowered within our organization.
Okay.
Those three things. And when people are engaged, they connect meaningfully with one another. It's not something that just happens. It's something that takes time and effort. And then when they feel meaningfully connected to, they're very engaged with what we're trying to do. So that's the first part. The second part is people have to feel equipped. That's speaking to my team. They have to feel like they have the tools, the resources, the knowledge, the wisdom in order to do their jobs well, to be able to assist the guests that come in the door. Guests have to feel like they're equipped to order the things that they want to order. They have to have the Chick-fil-A app. If they use that, they can order from us. And then empower is this idea of inviting contribution. We believe in a bottom-up leadership model where the best type of ideas come from the people that do the work every day, day in and day out, work on the front lines. And so for me, the intersection of engaging, equipping, and empowering our team creates a very remarkable working environment to where people can feel like they can be the most loving.
Yeah.
How does that answer your question?
No, it does. And here's what I'm curious about, because we're human. People fall down sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it when a team member forgets that they're at Chick-fil-A, perhaps, and they have that? I've seen some customers come in some stores, and especially at Chick-fil-A, and they are testing. They're really testing the waters to see how far they can push this and equip the employees who are engaged, equipped, and empowered. It's like they're pushing for something. I've seen some employees deal with some really tough situations. How do you get inside the mind of an employee who was not doing that at their previous employer, but you were able to get them to adopt a different way of being at a Chick-fil-A with the same kind of crazy customer that might come in?
So I think that goes back to the whole, like, the Chugos, the value system we have, and making sure at the very beginning when we bring somebody in that they kind of have the value set when they join us. It's not something that they really can get from us. They kind of have that. They have to care. They have to, think about Chugos. The H is humility. They've got to come in with a sense of, I'm going to serve. I'm here to serve. They have to come in with a sense of understanding. And if they don't have that, it's really hard for us to teach that.
Mhm.
And so for me, when it comes to doing business, you have to be really intentional about the people that you allow to join your organization and make sure that their values are aligned with the organization's values. That's, to me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're testing them. Is in your interview process. Then it's not just your traditional, set of interview questions. I mean, they may be traditional now, but I mean, you're really trying to see where they are from a values perspective. And so that
Yeah,
means not everyone gets to work for Chick-fil-A, right?
I think that's true from the top down when it comes to Chick-fil-A and trying to be a part of the organization. It's not easy. You don't just walk in the door and get hired. It's funny. My first job, believe it or not, was actually McDonald's.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
I was 14 years old. It was McDonald's, literally like a half a mile from my current restaurant. And the story of me working there was I was 14 and it was summer and I was hanging around the house one day and my mom got tired of seeing me hanging around playing video games. She's like, "Put your shoes on. We're going to go try to get you a job." And we walked in the door at McDonald's and I sat down with the general manager. His name was Scott, and he interviewed me for like 20 minutes. And then he said, "All right, you start later today. What's your shoe size?" And I started that day. And
Wow.
that was pretty much how they hired anybody. And that's just not how we do things at my restaurant. But
Mhm.
um, because it's just really important to make sure that you bring folks in that are going to be aligned with the values you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of, I know that you are a trained coach through the John Maxwell program. Talk to me about how that has played a role in your leadership.
Um, so we have some keys to success at my restaurant. We talk through how do we execute the culture that we have, and one of the keys to success is this idea of constant learning,
Mhm.
um, constant growth. It's also one of our values, this growth mindset with Hugo's. And it's this idea that we're always climbing, but we're never quite at the top. Because once we think we've gotten where we want to go, we look up and realize, oh, there's more to go. We've never arrived. And so joining the John Maxwell organization a couple years ago was just one step in my journey that I took to better myself, to better provide, or I guess equip myself to help my team.
Mhm.
I've got a team of 14 leaders on my leadership team,
Okay.
and they're all at different phases in their journey with Chick-fil-A, and all at different points in their career. And I wanted to be able to effectively coach them and help them and answer questions that they had about leadership and how to get better. And so I felt like, you know what, if I'm the lid of the organization, I better make sure I have a lot of capacity below me in order to help them grow. So that's
Yeah.
how we use what I have with John Maxwell.
So you feel like you have tools and resources to help people. So it's not just you as the leader, the owner, kind of coming out of your head and just
Yep.
boom, I'm brilliant. I have now you are, but still, you still
I
have
don't
to
know
have
about that.
resources
I'm nothing special.
to help people.
Yeah.
I know that you deal with a lot of people who need all kinds of help all the time. Um, okay, so what else do you think are some things that leaders today, dealing with today's workforce and today's work climate, need in order to have a culture of sustainability and even growth? Maybe it's a culture of learning and growth that leads
Mm.
to sustainability. What other thoughts do you have for those who are watching out there?
I think that it goes back to when someone wants to understand, like, what else, they first have to be able to answer the question of why. Why are they doing what they're doing? You got
Mm,
to start with why. Simon Sinek has a book that he wrote on that. It's a great book. If you haven't read it, I'd encourage you to read it. I'd encourage your listeners to read it.
yeah.
He has a YouTube video that talks about starting with why. That's a lot shorter than the book, and that actually hammers home a lot of his main points from the book.
Mhm.
I think it's a TED talk actually,
Yeah.
and it is an excellent video. It helps kind of capture why it's important to start with why, with for yourself as the leader, but also when you're trying to motivate and inspire the people around you. Um, so I think that's got to be the first thing that they do, is start with why.
Mhm.
Um, Also, kind of understanding, all right, so what other questions can I ask myself besides why? Who am I? Understanding what my values are. So having a personal values set that you've identified and that you've clarified. Um, the question of where are you going? You can't really know where you're going until you first know where you are. So the question for where is also really important. So I think when you ask yourself those three questions of why and who and where, you really help to start clarify what you should be focusing on as a leader in your organization.
Yeah, and I really love I use that concept of starting with why with a lot of my consulting clients. And what's so
Mm.
interesting is it's brilliant but simple, right? It's understanding what our purpose is. Why are we here? Why are we in business to do what we're here doing? How connected and aligned is it with my own personal why? So it forces me to do my own work. And then working through those strategies in the leadership level is the how, so that you can get to the front lines, the what, the people who execute on the why.
Yeah,
But they can't do that effectively if they don't ultimately understand that very important thing of why.
yeah,
That's important.
that's right.
Great stuff. So you told me you had like a blueprint, what's it, a toolkit or a cheat sheet that you use to manage, your daily work routine, your business, pull from that. What else do you have?
Well, I'll tell you that probably one of the most important tools that I'd say we have in our toolkit is people, the people that we have as part of our organization.
Yeah.
But someone I haven't alluded to yet is having a coach, having someone that's helping you get better. And so in my toolkit, we have a coach, a business coach, who's helped us really formulate what our framework is, how we operate as an organization. They ask really challenging questions. What the coach does not do is they do not give us answers because all of the answers for us live within us. We have everything we need in order to become who we should be someday. It's all
Yeah.
inside, and all the coach does is help bring that out through clarifying questions. So for me, one of the keystones of our business framework is having a coach that can help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah. And is that your personal coach or is that your business? Like he or she is coaching you through your business?
Yeah, so I have several mentors, coaches that speak into my life personally. I have a business coach that I share with my key leaders, and he works with them on a weekly or biweekly basis. Does 30-minute calls. He sits in some of our leadership meetings and listens in virtually, and kind of helps guide the discussion through curious questions. He never gives answers, and I think that's probably one of the most frustrating things to when you start working with a coach is you feel like they're going to tell you everything you need to know. And then you realize after one or two sessions, they're not going to tell you anything. They're going to ask you and you've got to figure it out. And so I'm sure that's probably something you've seen in your experience being a coach yourself.
Yeah.
You can't give them the answers. They got to figure that out on their own. So
No, no, the moment we start giving answers, we move from coaching to consulting, and
yeah,
it's a fine line. But I think most people forget that you need someone that can pull out the best that you have in yourself. And it's not my job to run your business. It's my job to help you do the best that you can with your business and the resources. And I also love the fact, Rob, that you allow your business coach to also sit in and listen and provide deep questions and talk to your leadership team. I have a client that does that with me, and and here's the deal. The thing that I love about it is it's not a 9 to 5 job. This is when you're a business coach, you are available when the client needs you to be available to them. And we debrief after calls. I sit in on a lot of the business calls. I'm trying to get to the questions that's going to help them think. And I love, he'll say to me, so what I think I hear you saying is, and I'm like, okay. But I think it's an important part of business. You're not by yourself. And I love also that you said you have mentors that you surround yourself with, as well as coaches. So I really love that you are. Thank you for sharing some of
yeah,
the secrets in your thoughts. What
yeah.
else? You go ahead.
Another thing, another bit of wisdom that I received years ago is this saying that you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And so, as you try to expand your personality as you try to get better, you have to take a look at who's around you, who you spending time with. That's family. That's mentors. That's colleagues, and so
Yeah.
that's something that as you're thinking through that question of who, it's not just who I am, but who am I really surrounding myself with, and how are they impacting me? Are they helping me? Are they hurting me? Are they
Yeah.
making me better? Are they dragging me down?
Yeah.
So there's a devotional that I read one time. It's
Mhm.
probably over the years one of the things that I kind of look back to as a life changing reading for me. And unfortunately, I don't have the reference to tell you where to find it, but I can tell you the gist of what it was.
Okay.
So it talked about how uh, someone that wants to grow needs to have kind of three different people in their life.
Mhm.
They need to have someone that they're chasing, someone that they're like kind of looking up to, right? A mentor, a guide, a hero. They need to have someone in their life. So that's the first person. Is need to have a hero. The second person they need to have in their life is someone they're walking down the road with, someone that's kind of right there with them, someone that's got the same, you know, vision, purpose that they're learning through life with, and then they need to have somebody that they're helping along.
Mm.
That's behind them a little bit in the journey. Someone that they're helping improve. And when you have that kind of three, you have someone above you, someone at your level, and someone a little bit below you that you're trying to help along.
Yeah.
Um, it's that constant flow of I'm constantly trying to learn from someone that's better than me. I'm learning with someone that's just like me, and I'm helping someone else learn that wants to be better.
Yeah.
I think that having those three things in your life is important. So for me, when I think of my five, I think of, do I have five people up here? Do I have five people here? And do I have five people down here that I'm helping? Um, so that's kind of how I think through that
Yeah,
model.
at all times, right? It's not just a one
Yeah.
and done. This is something that
Right.
that we have to do on a constant and a regular basis.
Yeah.
As we begin to, and I'm so thankful, Rob, for you being here. And I'd love to know, give you the last word and allow you to share with us anything else you think would be helpful from a culture, from a business and a growth perspective in the middle of a pandemic and all the other things that crises and other situations that we may be facing. I mean, really, truly, you're a hero in all of this. And I know our community and our families thank you for, employing our children and although they're not babies anymore, but it's incredible to see the talent that turns out of Chick-fil-A. And so I'm so thankful for the work that you're doing, especially in our community. You've done so much in our community. I can't say enough. But what final words do you have for the folks who are watching?
Well, the first thing I'll say is thank you. Those are very kind things. I'm no one special, and I'll tell you that my heroes are the people that come to work every day and drive me to be better, because I know that if I'm not pushing myself to be better, it's not creating a great place for them. So
Right.
that's really important for me to note. I'll tell you that nothing is nothing will ever be perfect, and this year has been a struggle. There's just been so much about this year that has been an attack on just individuals, families, mindset, emotions, mental health, and it's hard. It's hard, and I think that acknowledging that is really really important. We can cover it up and wrap it in a pretty bow and say, oh yeah, well, this is everything's great, and everything's not always great. But when you have people alongside with you that you can say, hey, I'm going through this together, and you have that care piece. I'm going to just go right back to that. You have people around you that care about you. That makes it so much easier to go through, no matter what it is that you're going through. And everything that's happened this year, all of the, divisive, the politics and the social injustice that's happened, and coronavirus and everything. It's hard, but knowing that there's other people going through it and that they're there and that they care, that's what has made it bearable, and why we've been able to thrive this year.
Yeah, and I so appreciate that. I do have one final question. I'm sorry, it's not going to be a fair one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's your favorite Chick-fil-A menu item?
I love the Chick-fil-A sandwich with extra pickles and tomatoes. That's my favorite way to eat it. To be honest, I haven't eaten it that way for a while, but that's my favorite way to eat it. Uh, Chick-fil-A sandwich, a Chick-fil-A item that I'm looking forward to that has not yet come out. Just you and your listeners get a little special sneak peek. There is a sandwich coming next year. I think it's called the pimento cheese sandwich, the pimento cheese Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. They're testing it in different markets around the country. So if you Google it, you'll find it. It's actually in South Carolina right now. So if there's any listeners down there, they may have tried it, but I hear it's very good. And
Oh,
it is coming. It is coming chain wide sometime in 2021. So I
wow.
can't wait. I can't wait to try that one.
I
So
know, right? And what's
yeah,
up with this macaroni and cheese y'all got? You're trying to
ooh,
put me out of business. My goodness.
it's really good. I don't ever have to make it anymore because I just go and get it from my restaurant.
I know. Well, that's what I'm telling my son. He said, "Mom, you making macaroni and cheese for Thanksgiving?" I'm like, Chick-fil-A is making some really good macaroni and cheese.
Oh,
So no, but really, I so appreciate you being here with me, Rob. I really do, and I thank you so much for sharing some tips and some insights. If you would like to reach out to him, please let me know. I will make sure that we get you connected. If you're a leader and you have more and you want to learn more from him, he certainly has. Allowed me to extend that offer to those who are interested in connecting with him. So, with that, I'm going to say thank you so much, and you all have wonderful holiday season that's upon us. And wherever you are, be kind to one another. Rob, thank you so much for
man,
being here.
my pleasure, Pam. You have a great day. Thank y'all.